We've all been there. That moment when we know we should be doing something positive for ourselves. We might have a big goal in mind, a dream we long to chase. But instead of taking action, we find ourselves stuck. Procrastination becomes our closest companion. We scroll endlessly through social media, binge watch our favorite shows, or simply let our anxieties spiral. This, my friends, is self-sabotage in action. It's the insidious voice inside our heads whispering doubts, fueling fears, and ultimately holding us back from our true potential. It's that nagging feeling that we're not good enough, not worthy enough, or that we're bound to fail. Self-sabotage takes many forms. It might be the constant negative self-talk, chipping away at our confidence. It could be the tendency to overthink and overanalyze, paralyzing us with indecision. Or perhaps it's the habit of starting projects with great enthusiasm, only to abandon them at the first sign of difficulty. Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards breaking free. It's about acknowledging that we are, in fact, standing in our own way. And that awareness, however uncomfortable it may be, is the catalyst for change. At its core, self-sabotage is often a defense mechanism. It's a way of protecting ourselves from the very real and often terrifying possibility of failure. We tell ourselves, well, if I don't even try, then I can't really fail, can I? Fear of failure is deeply ingrained in many of us. We worry about what others will think, how we'll measure up, and the potential for disappointment. This fear can be so overwhelming that we unconsciously choose the path of least resistance, even if that path leads to stagnation and unfulfilled potential. Think back to a time when you sabotaged your own efforts. Perhaps you procrastinated on a big project at work, ultimately delivering subpar results. Or maybe you shied away from a social event, convincing yourself you weren't up for it. Underneath those actions, you might find a deep-seated fear of judgment, criticism, or the pain of not measuring up. Recognizing the fear is like shining a light on a shadow. It loses some of its power when we bring it into the open. By acknowledging the fear driving our self-sabotaging behaviors, we can begin to challenge its grip and choose a different path. Self-handicapping is a fascinating psychological phenomenon closely linked to self-sabotage. It's the act of creating obstacles for ourselves, often unconsciously, to provide a convenient excuse for potential failure. Imagine a student who pulls an all-nighter before a big exam. They haven't studied much, but they've created the perfect scapegoat: lack of sleep. If they fail the exam, they can blame it on their exhaustion rather than their lack of preparation. This, in essence, is self-handicapping. Psychologist Stephen Berglas conducted groundbreaking research on self-handicapping in the 1970s. His studies revealed that people are more likely to engage in self-handicapping behaviors when they are uncertain about their ability to succeed. It's a way of protecting our self-esteem by providing an external attribution for failure. We've all been guilty of self-handicapping at some point. We might procrastinate on a project, claiming we work better under pressure, or we might downplay our abilities, saying things like, "Oh, I'm not really that good at this." While these tactics might seem harmless, they ultimately prevent us from putting our best foot forward and reaching our full potential. To truly understand self-sabotage, we need to delve into the intricate workings of the human brain. Deep within our temporal lobes lies the amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure that plays a crucial role in processing emotions, particularly fear and anxiety. When we perceive a threat, real or imagined, the amygdala springs into action. It triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, preparing our bodies for a fight or flight response. This response served us well in our evolutionary past, helping us escape from predators and dangerous situations. However, in our modern world, the amygdala doesn't always differentiate between genuine threats and perceived ones. That fear of failure we discussed earlier, the amygdala experiences it as a very real danger, prompting us to avoid situations that could lead to emotional pain or discomfort. This is where self-sabotage comes in. By avoiding challenges, procrastinating on important tasks, or engaging in negative self-talk, we're essentially trying to appease the amygdala and keep it from sounding the alarm. We're choosing the comfort of familiarity over the uncertainty and potential discomfort of growth. The good news is that we don't have to remain trapped in these self-sabotaging patterns. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, offers a powerful set of tools and techniques for identifying, challenging, and ultimately changing negative thought patterns and behaviors. At its core, CBT is based on the premise that our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are interconnected. Negative thoughts can lead to negative feelings, which in turn can influence us to engage in self-sabotaging behaviors. CBT helps us break this cycle by teaching us to become more aware of our thoughts and to challenge their validity. One of the key techniques used in CBT is cognitive restructuring. This involves identifying and challenging negative automatic thoughts, those often irrational and unhelpful thoughts that pop into our heads without conscious effort. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm going to fail," we might reframe that thought as, "I'm going to do my best, and that's all that matters." CBT also emphasizes behavioral activation, which encourages us to gradually engage in activities that we've been avoiding due to fear or anxiety. By facing our fears in a safe and controlled environment, we can begin to rewire our brains and reduce the amygdala's grip. Reframing is a powerful CBT technique that involves looking at a situation from a different perspective. It's about challenging negative thoughts and replacing them with more positive and realistic ones. Let's say you're about to give a presentation at work. Your heart is racing, your palms are sweating, and your mind is flooded with thoughts like, "I'm going to freeze up," or "everyone's going to think I'm incompetent." These thoughts are fueling your anxiety and increasing the likelihood that you'll engage in self-sabotaging behaviors like procrastinating on your preparation or calling in sick at the last minute. Instead of letting these negative thoughts control you, try reframing them. Instead of "I'm going to freeze up," reframe it as, "I've prepared well and I'm capable of delivering a great presentation." Instead of "everyone's going to think I'm incompetent," reframe it as, "Most people are just focused on hearing the information, not judging my every move." By consciously choosing to focus on the positive and challenging the negative, we can shift our mindset and reduce the grip of self-sabotage. Goal setting is an essential part of breaking free from self-sabotage. When we set clear, specific, and achievable goals, we give ourselves something concrete to strive for. This can be incredibly motivating and can help us stay on track when those self-doubts start to creep in. One effective goal-setting method is the SMART approach, specific. Your goal should be clear and well-defined. Instead of saying, "I want to be healthier," try, "I want to cook 3 healthy meals at home each week." Measurable. You should be able to track your progress and see how far you've come. Using the previous example, you could track your progress by keeping a food journal or using a meal planning app. Achievable. Your goal should be challenging but attainable. Don't set yourself up for failure by setting unrealistic expectations. Relevant. Your goal should be meaningful to you and aligned with your values. Time-bound. Set a deadline for yourself to provide a sense of urgency and accountability. When setting goals, it's also helpful to focus on what you want to achieve, rather than what you're trying to avoid. For example, instead of saying, "I don't want to be so anxious anymore," try, "I want to feel calmer and more confident in social situations." By framing your goals in a positive light, you'll be more motivated to work towards them. Breaking free from self-sabotage is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a journey that requires courage, self-compassion, and a willingness to embrace vulnerability. It's about recognizing that we're all works in progress, and that setbacks are an inevitable part of growth. The key is to be kind to ourselves when we stumble. Self-criticism and negative self-talk will only keep us stuck. Instead, let's practice self-compassion and remind ourselves that we're doing the best we can with the tools we have. Remember, vulnerability is not weakness, it's our greatest measure of courage. It's about showing up authentically, even when we're afraid. It's about taking risks, even when we're uncertain of the outcome. And it's about believing in ourselves, even when it feels hard. The journey to overcome self-sabotage begins with a single step. It starts with a commitment to ourselves, a promise to show up authentically and strive for the life we deserve. Take a moment to reflect on the patterns of self-sabotage in your own life. What are your triggers? What fears are holding you back? Once you've identified these patterns, start small. Choose one area you'd like to work on and set a SMART goal. Remember, change takes time and effort. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your successes, and don't be afraid to ask for support when you need it. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who encourage your growth, and who remind you of your strength. You are capable of amazing things. Don't let self-sabotage steal your joy, your potential, or your dreams. Take a deep breath, embrace the journey, and start living the life you are meant to live.